the Falcons are number 10. And I think the reason why, even though they're winning games and they've looked good and they were responsible for a good Thursday night game, which almost never fucking happens, Kirk he doesn't look quite the same, I think, physically. And I think that that's telling. Their defense needs to work on trying to make it so that they don't hemorrhage a ton of points against the teams that they have to play. All that being said, it makes complete sense for them to crack the power rankings because we talked about that division already. I mean, they could very easily win 9-10 games and win that division, and they get a week off going into the playoffs, and all of a sudden we have to have a conversation about them. So, Bob, what have you seen from the Falcons that cracked them into the top 10? Do you agree with my assessment that Kirk doesn't quite look the same physically? Is he getting better? Is he coming back? I mean, it's not to say he didn't have a good game. He's making big boy throws, but he does look a little stiff.
No, he definitely looks a little stiff. I mean, once they get him rolling into the play action, he seems to be doing a lot better, and they get those stretch runs going. That's when the Falcons are really rolling.
He's spreading the ball around a lot, which I really appreciate. I've always really appreciated about his game, and him spreading the ball around in that place looks really cool, right? Like, there's a lot of good guys out there. Like, he actually made Pitts look like he cared enough to play tight end again for the first time last Thursday. So, there's things happening down there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely think they deserve a spot in the top 10 at this point. Especially since you look at the offense that we've seen throughout the league, the Falcons definitely have a top 10 offense in the league so far. And there's no doubt about that. I mean, with
I agree.
The points being,
I think it's statistically that's true.
What I mean?
And that's true. Yeah. Ray, what have you liked from the Falcons? What have you not liked from the Falcons? What's going to move them up this power rankings, and what's going to kick them out of it?
I just think they're consistent.
More consistent than last year, that's for sure.
Well, no, I'm saying but their consistent offensive play will have them, pun intended, but they will have them rise up. They're
that thing.
Listen, Kirk is back, baby. I'm sorry.
You don't think physically he's looking
509, baby. Sign me up. I was like, wow. I couldn't believe. I mean, we haven't seen that from him in a while, even pre-injury. So I was like, I said 509 with this offense here. I was like, whoa. I said, okay, Kirk.
But you don't think physically he looks like he could break in half in any second? I'm not knocking his. He's out there winning games.
I want to be clear. Am I engaging in hyperbole? Absolutely. But I listen. 509 is 509, and he looked really good obviously last week. I think that I think that your premise was a lot more evident the first 2 weeks, because obviously I think that he was, gradually working up to where he is now.
Totally.
Is he moving? Is he moving like phenomenally? No, right. That's I'd be, we'd be lying just to tell you that we see that with our eyes. But he's starting to get back to that point where he was pre-injury, and like I said, Drake London, who it was kind of a reach when they got him at 10 a few years back. He's balling. Once again, Pitts is now, shout out to them Gators. Pitts is finally come alive, thank God. Because I was starting to lose credibility with defending him. But I'm glad that he's starting to wake up a little bit. So yeah, they look more formidable by the week. But like you said, it starts with the defense, man. Like Jesse Bates is down there now. They signed him. I know they signed Justin Simmons from Denver there as well, and obviously Judon came there via trade. So they got some guys there that can defend and play at a high level. I think Grady Jarrett's still down there as well. So they got to figure it out, because if they're just in the middle of the road, they're like 12th overall defensively. They can win maybe a game, maybe 2 in the playoffs, but we're saying they got a long way to go. But right now, I like how they're trending.
Bobby, that Steelers Cowboys game, huh? What'd you make of that? Fucking tough in my household. Tough finish. I thought it was, honestly, a really competitive, well-contested game. I thought that the Cowboys made changes and adjustments that we were complaining about that they needed to make. They got a young and hungry, well, actually not even young. I mean, the Dowdle's was his 5th year in the league.
Yeah, 5th or 6th.
He's playing for. Yeah, he's playing for his life, and he was running like it. It really, really brought a spark into that Cowboys offense. Zeke still looked like shit. I I think that Dak made the kind of mistakes that Dak makes to lose games, though, still. And I think that if that Steelers offense, and this isn't me trying to, pop your balloon or anything, because I think it was a great win and I think it's going to be great for your momentum. But, and I will also mention as a quick aside that the Cowboys defense looked like they could actually stop the run, which was nice. I really thought I was expecting a Justin Fields like masterclass, like of him just slashing, just based on how that defense was playing against the run. That's not me being a dick, I swear. But all that being said, Dak did make the Dak mistakes that usually typically cost them games. And if the Steelers looked like they could get anything going, either on the ground or through the air, then maybe they would have won the game. But man, that Steelers offense looked bad. And it was doubly upsetting watching Pickens at the end of the game pull that gross shit, pulling that dude's face mask and like throwing him down, a guy like smaller than him, and like you shouldn't pull his face mask, and you look like a sore loser because the game's over, and you played like shit, and you look like you weren't really trying. I mean, this is the double-edged sword. This is the poison apple with the Steelers, right? Like they get a looking like a fun. They don't look a character ever, really, do they? Like they can get some really juicy seasons out of guys that go absolutely bananas because of the talent that they draft. But man, have they had a lot of fucking divas in that locker room. Man, has that locker room been leaky, which doesn't seem like Steelers culture at all. So, I mean, I'm very low ebb about their offense coming off this week. I mean, Fields did not look good. I still think you got to stick with him because a team where your biggest problem is you can't move the ball on the ground, you're going to put Russell Wilson in there. You think that's going to solve your problems? It's not. I still think you stick with him. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. But before you guys tell me about the Steelers, Bobby, tell me about the Dallas Cowboys. Am I being too harsh on Dak? I mean, they won the game.
So the Cowboys dominated between the 20s in this game. Absolutely dominated. They outgained the Steelers by like 150 yards. If
their red zone offense, especially in the first half, was one of the worst I've ever seen.
It's really bad. And it's been like that for almost 2 years. So it's something that is the most frustrating piece of any team, anytime the red zone offense isn't any good.
No, tell me about it.
It's very frustrating.
Because you feel like you've done the hard
part.
Right.
You got all the way down there, right?
Right. Like you feel like you've done the hard part. You got nowhere you need to be. Like you got all the way down. Just that being like it's got to be psychological, right? I know there's short field stuff. Like obviously, the advantage goes a little bit more towards the defense when they have less field to guard. I get that, but realistically, like the best teams, they score. Their red zone efficiency, the best teams in the NFL every single year have the highest red zone efficiency. That's just a fact,
yes.
Right? So like you got to get that dialed in, otherwise you're fucked, and it just wasn't good.
Also, I really thought we were going to lose at the end. I didn't think we had that. So as happy as I am for the win, I
was pretty surprised. I really thought that ball was getting batted down. I really thought that ball was getting. I thought he was close enough to him. I was like,
and the fumble that happened before, you know what I mean? It just seemed like the prototypical Cowboys are going to lose.
I was pretty surprised,
and they came through on fourth down. So,
but they got down the field. They got down the field.
They got it done. So that's why they're back on the list. They play the Lions next, so we'll see how long they stay on the list.
At least you're not here. Well, we'll see. I mean, the Lions have looked a little trick or treat this year too, and I'll say this: at least you're not sitting here being like, the only thing I have to be happy about is Brandon Aubrey. Like there was at least
that was a good.
You got Dowdle. You what's the name of that? What's the name of the homeboy who got the
Tolbert?
Got the winning TD pass? The
Tolbert. Yeah.
Tolbert.
Tolbert.
I'm sure he got scooped up. I'm sure he got scooped up in our fantasy league at some point today. And you beat me to Dowdle. So, there's guys coming out of that where I was watching them. So, Ray, did you watch that game? What'd you make of that matchup? Did it move the needle for either team in any extreme direction? And are you calling for Russ?
I'm not calling for Russ. I still think that Fields is the answer right now. I think that he's earned an opportunity to keep going and keep growing. Once again, we're seeing it happen. It was, the situation, here with the team I'm a fan of. You're not growing by sitting, with a fucking clipboard. So I want Fields to keep playing. So, fuck all that. The sideline will help you. But, whatever. But once again, give credit to Dak. People have lost faith in his ability to close out. He did that Sunday. So regardless of how ugly it looked, regardless of how bad it was in the first half, the game is not 29 minutes. The game is not 32 minutes. The game is not 47 minutes. It's 60. And it took all 60, but where's the Big Daddy Kane? He got the job done. So
I do on that note, I do want to rescind one criticism I had pretty harshly during the game. Obviously, we're just reacting to that, right? When we're watching it. And Bobby, I think, was the only one still awake. So I was talking to him and I was like really killing Dak for that pick. I was like, how do you not see the guy lurking right there? Like he's there. He was there the whole time. He's like in your cone of vision. I was killing him.
Right.
And then I noticed it watching it back, I think probably, a day or two later. And I realized that I think CeeDee Lamb was the intended receiver and he ran the wrong route. He didn't curl. He didn't turn at the right time. Something weird happened. Some weird miscommunication thing happened. So it actually wasn't as diabolical of an interception as it first looked because I thought he just didn't see the guy. But I think he thought his receiver was going to be in front of him. So I'll give him a little bit of reprieve on that, Bobby, just because I know I did talk some shit about him in the group chat. If it even went in,
CD wasn't happy with that interception either, just for the record.
Yeah, some weird went down. So there was a miscommunication. It wasn't just like I didn't see that guy or I threw a fucking terrible shot. And you know what? To Ray, I think to your credit, you're right. I mean, you can't. If I'm going to sit here and bang the drum of like, well, they just played who was in front of them, this, that, and the other. They made plays against what I still think is the best defense in the league, and they made plays against them. So they improved from the last week.
Remember, it's and they still did, right? It was 17-13. It wasn't like it was 41 to 37. Defense was played very well, but at the same time, Patrick Queen, Minka Fitzpatrick,
they really couldn't. They weren't penetrating to the degree they normally do either.
Right.
Better than last week, but
where you all and let's say they're there, but it's like if you're going to be the defense that everyone respects and fears and loves, you got to make that stop, right?
No, I agree.
I agree. So like that. So I mean, once again, there's gonna be times when you lose, but like I said, Dak, at the end of the day, and once again, we talked about yesterday about him jumping on that fumble, at the end, but it's like that. Being that quick, mind or quick-witted in that moment, save that drive.
Yeah.
So save the drive, and then
you notice that fumble. I mean, he caught that out of the corner of his eye. Easier said than done when you're wearing a helmet. Easier said than done when you've handed off the responsibility of the play already. Like he saw the ball, he pounced on the ball. That was the defining moment of the game.
So you do that.
If they get, I mean, that's a fumble that honestly the Steelers recovered like probably at an alarmingly high rate. You know what I mean? Like that team recovers fumbles really, really well, and it's because they make plays on the ball. Like I do think also it's been the Peanut Tillman punch across the whole league has become incredibly fashionable, not as much as it has this year. The Peanut Tillman punch has actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it's run amok. Everybody is just throwing right hooks to try to punch the ball instead of making tackles. And and I get that it's sick when it works, but when you miss, you've now arm tackled and failed, right? So you look like an asshole. So the Steelers were doing a lot of that, and I get it. I get that the way that they win games is they turn the ball over on. Like I understand that. I love that about them. But there was a moment where Tolbert, it was like 3rd and long, and the Dallas handed it off for some reason, and Watt was there to wrap up the running back, and he tried to punch it out and he missed a tackle. And it's like Watt's missing open field tackles, like coming in from the edge. Like he did that, like TJ Watt, like arm stretch out. I was like, oh, see you later. And then he just like tried the right hook and he busted it off for like a 4th and 1, which then resulted in that big play. So it's like, oh man, like you just make the tackle, dude. Like you got to have situational awareness in that situation. So yeah, I mean, I still think the Steelers are gonna have a winning record. I know that they're on a 2-game skid, and so are this next team that we're coming on to talk about, the Buffalo Bills. Still on the power rankings at number 7 because, quite frankly, they did look like the most, like they had the best playing quarterback across the first 3 weeks. Last 2 weeks, not so much.
Then he got knocked the fuck out.
I would like to chalk. Then he got knocked the fuck out.